Hello and welcome to this very special episode of Stories from the Other City, a podcast by From the Other, which celebrates 20 years of Salford Sounds from the Other City Festival. In today's show, we're going to be listening and reacting to stories from our community, hearing the unique sounds from the festival and raising awareness that the impact of Sounds from the Other City has had across the fabulously diverse and creative city of Salford. On the panel today, we're joined by Mark Carlin, director at From the Other. Mark arrived at Islington Mill in Salford 2004.
That is correct.
And founded the festival with his brother Maurice in 2005, who I've been told I can call Maury. So I'm sure Mark's going to have a lot of tales to tell about how the festival has come on in the last 20 years. And we are very happy to have with us as well on the panel today, Riv Burns. How you doing?
Hi, I'm good. Bonjour.
Head of music at Factory International and previous director at Sounds from the Other City for 10 years, bursting with knowledge, experience, and hopefully some shareable secrets from previous year's events.
Let's go.
And I'm Jenna G, a Mancunian and former Sounds from the Other City attendee and artist. Thank you very much for having me. It was a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to digging into the past 20 years, the stories from the festival, the artists, the promoters, curators and audiences have contributed in the growth of this event and the building of a dedicated and ever expanding grassroots community. So let's get into it. Sounds from the Other City is a celebration of music, culture and people. Without the thousands of you out there that have bought tickets and attended the festival over the last 20 years, Sounds from the Other City just wouldn't be what it is today. So for the opening story, we're going to hear from quite a few audience members about their experience of the festival and how it's impacted them.
It was a pretty delightful time. The food was excellent, the music was good, the vibe was good.
Yeah, I just love saying local music and just the general the venues and the people, and I love it.
What do I like the most about Salford? I think sounds, and I think the way that it brings community together, and I think the fact that it's so unique, it's so unlike any other festival that is there.
Yeah, the people seem really nice. Like everyone I've walked past have all greeted me as a human, which is quite nice.
Doesn't happen everywhere.
So true.
That's a lovely collection of audience members' reactions. How does that make you feel?
Yeah, really good. I think it kind of sums up, I think as an event, it's quite people-centered.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's quite interesting that that's what people are picking up on more than, I think, just going to see a thing. It's good. I like to think at the heart of it, it's the audience, the people on stage, the people behind the stage. They're maybe not that big of a difference between them all.
Mm.
And I think that creates something that's quite special about it.
I like the one lady just said, "What's my favourite thing about Salford?" Sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a true community festival in the very essence of its word. I think we've kind of always said that. And I think when you think of community festival, you probably think of like a bake sale in a school from the Women's Institute. But this is the opposite of that. But it's like the community is so central to its success. The community, the audience is the artist and the artists are the audience. And the back of house, and it's really, I don't know anything else like it either. It's pretty special, and it's nice that gets picked up.
Isn't it? I think 20 years is definitely a testament to how special it is. How have you seen the audiences change over that time?
They've just got bigger.
The best change.
Yeah, I mean, there's still people who went to the very first Sounds who still come today. So there's a real loyal following, but then there is new faces and fresh faces every single year that then come back for multiple editions. I don't know many people who've just come to one.
No.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think people tend to return. I think what I've noticed is that the span of ages has changed. I think those early years is probably quite a narrow band of a certain age group, maybe, early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess as that audience has got older and new people have come through. So I definitely noticed, I think last year really felt like all of the age groups were there.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, that wasn't totally true, but that's what it felt like.
I recall looking around and being like, this is a very well diverse in terms of age range. Also, we were just talking before we started the podcast about how your son is basically the same age as the festival.
Yeah.
So he's grown up with it. There must have been other people that also have grown
Yeah.
up with that, with the festival as well.
Yeah.
Bringing through their kids and
Yeah,
maybe.
I definitely noticed that as well.
That's cool.
The absentees for a few years, and then they're back just with more of them.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think it's like, it's an affordable festival as well, and it's in a city. And so that means that a lot of young kids, like I say young kids, that makes me feel really old, but like a lot of young people can come because it's affordable.
Mhm.
And I think that is very
Mm.
present in its kind of, in its audience demographic as well. Yeah. in its
It's such
shapes.
a lovely vibe as well to be like you say, just for me being a Mancunian, just walk across the river into Salford, and it's like everybody is milling around the street, and there's
Yeah.
music and there's vibes, and there's, like that gentleman said, the energy. People are really friendly, and it's so nice to be out in a city
Yeah.
that is also a festival.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
great locations as well, which I'm sure we'll talk about more. But next up, I want to talk about social impact, because it's been 20
Mm.
years, and it's necessary to explore the social impact of this amazing event and kind of gain an understanding for our listeners what the plans are to explore the reach and the engagement and the inclusion of the ever-increasing spectrum of artists at Sound from the Other City. So as we head towards the 2025 event, 20 years, let's take a look back to reflect on the impacts of 2024. So, how are you going to continue to put Salford on the map?
I think the event is really embedded in Salford. Like it's weird. Like when we started, this other city idea was, it was actually a friend at the time, who just he called up and was like, "Oh, I've got an amazing idea. I've got an amazing name for that festival. It's got to be Sounds from the Other City." And I think that was kind of a direct reaction to In the City, which was happening in Manchester at the same time, as around the time it started. So I think in that period, it's like Salford's really changed, particularly around where the festival happens. It's like city centre Manchester now. So, but I think in the identity of Salford, it's got a little bit of that still there, that we're slightly different things can happen there. So maybe there's a slight sense of possibility. And I think for us, it'd be really great to keep pushing that idea of the other city where other experiences are possible, where people who are maybe not represented or don't find as easy to be represented in other maybe more mainstream spaces, that there's still a space for that there. I think I'd love to see that being what we take forward and we do more of.
I know that you mentioned In the City, which was like a festival, music festival conference that was put on by Tony Wilson. That didn't last. That's gone and over. The social impact of your festival, clearly there's something special about it. Is it the fact that it's not in Manchester? Is it the fact that you're separated from Manchester and you can do things a little bit more differently? I hate to say that phrase.
Yeah.
Because we're supposed to be the ones. Manchester's supposed to be doing it differently.
Well, this is Salford. We do things exactly the same here. Is quite a famous T-shirt that we created this year, courtesy of the wonderful taxi cab industries. But I think, I don't know, I think there has been a certain amount of freedom, because I think Salford it's given the key to creativity to just be like, ask forgiveness rather than permission, because it's been a place where things have been encouraged to cultivate and to grow without the city council necessarily going, do this thing because this is what we want. It's just like, let's just see what's happening quite organically, and then let's kind of help to cultivate that when it's ready. And I think there's been an element of freedom in Salford for a long time, of just kind of, there's a reason Islington Mill exists and it's not been turned into flats. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's had that kind of creative, like green light. And that comes with a lot of problems as well, as I'm sure we'll find out over the years. But like, I think, Sounds has kind of been able to flourish because it's kind of just been given a bit of space, I would say.
You mentioned like councillors breathing down your neck and a bit of that. And I actually think that links very well into our next little segment. We've got another reaction to your festival. I won't introduce them, I'll let them introduce themselves.
I'm Councillor Hannah Robinson-Smith and I am the lead member for culture in Salford City Mayor's Cabinet. My first introduction to sounds was almost 20 years ago when in either its first or second year my husband's band played. So obviously my introduction as the girlfriend and now wife of a musician was very different than the relationship I have with sounds now as the lead member for Culture for the whole city. So I think the impact that it had on my husband as an emerging artist being part of something bigger was really important for them as musicians. And I think now seeing that strategically on behalf of new and emerging artists across this city and the city region, I can see the impact Sounds has had as it's grown and as the team's understanding and knowledge of the sector, their consistent support for people and the community of emerging artists in Salford. I just think it's an invaluable asset for the city. It's got bigger and better every year, but the knowledge, love, compassion and support for those emerging artists has stayed consistently true to their values, whilst it's probably grown in sort of sharpness and you know, knowledge and awareness and understanding of the sector around it. The team have been incredible throughout the entire 20 years, and it's an absolute joy to be there from the other side now in that kind of strategic and commissioning and funding kind of role, being able to empower them to do even more and to support even more people across our city and the city region. So thanks, Sounds, for all that you do. And I'd be intrigued to hear from your perspective what value you feel you're going to add in another 20 years.
Oof.
Big question there.
Yeah. I thought we were just going to be able to bask on the 20 years done. That'd be easy.
No, now what's the next 20
Yeah.
years? That was lovely.
Yeah.
Your
was.
faces in that was
Yeah.
that was really cute.
Yeah.
Bit like a school report. Like,
Yeah.
thanks.
I kind of feel it's a bit like this is your life as
Yeah.
well, because that was someone that was always there,
Yeah.
there from
I
the
had
beginning.
no idea
No.
of that story at all.
Oh, was it?
No. I mean, I know Hannah, but
hmm
I didn't realise that she actually knew it from back in way, way back.
I think that's so much about place, though, isn't it? Like, I think a lot of people who live in Salford, work in Salford and stay in Salford, like, it's very proud of being Salford, and we couldn't be prouder of being a festival that represents that city or takes place in that city. And so it's wonderful that people like her kind of, grow with these events and are able to kind of have those different touchstones with it. As well as loads of other events across the city, do you know what I mean? But that's a really beautiful thing.
So maybe not 20 years from now, but like, what's the plans for Sounds from the Other City over the next 5 years, maybe?
I mean, I think what's really interesting with Sounds is the idea that was there from the very first day is kind of still exactly how we organise it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the two things that were central to it was it's going to happen in Salford. That's the other city. But also the way that we went about organising it was not to, because at the start we didn't even know that we were doing a festival. Like, I don't think people approach starting things in that way. You just like have some energy and an idea. You just do it. But we were really clear, let's invite other people to come and program this thing with us. So from the first event had 4 stages, and each one of them was programmed by a different live music promoter. And it was a bit of a nightmare, like all first events are. It didn't go very well. Some bits worked, some bits didn't. But it was really obvious from doing that you get different feels and different flavors and different ideas from people. So that's what we've carried on, and that's just got bigger and bigger, and more people have got involved. And I think it would be brilliant to just really keep expanding that. You can't represent absolutely everything that happens within a city, but trying to make that as broad as possible, make sure that there's new ideas, new blood coming through. I think that's really what I'd love to, that it can keep doing authentically what it's been doing, do it better, resource it better, give even better opportunities for people.
Yeah, just like kind of create more fun and exciting moments for people. In whichever way you're kind of experiencing them, whether you're the one who's making them or whether you're the one who's witnessing them, or giving the platform for them. I think what Sounds allows is people to take a risk, and there's been some real joy in those risk-taking moments, and some real magic, and I think more of those. And I think it's interesting what she was saying around the team as well, and like how that's grown. And like, I think we formed a company a couple of years ago called From the Other, and that kind of brought through a lot of like the artist development stuff that we've been doing through Samabita, which is like a residency project that we ran and still run. And I think interesting to see how that whole kind of aspect of what we do develops over the next 5 years and supports sounds to create more of those creative and exciting moments for people. Because I think, there's a lot of power behind that kind of coming together of minds, and the variety of the stuff that we do as a company now, not just an annual festival, just gives us more touch points to kind of, allow more risk taking throughout the year.
I love that. And for anyone listening at home, if you have any ideas, Sounds from the Other City are always up to hear your suggestions. Because
Absolutely.
it is all about the community after all.
Yeah.
So grassroots music, because that's what it's all about. You support the community of Salford and beyond. It's not news that the grassroots music scene is in a bit of crisis, with many venues struggling to stay afloat and promoters having a hard time breaking even. It's opportunities like Sounds from the Other City that keep the scene moving along. So for our final story, we are going to hear from Tash, who's content and marketing at Reform Radio.
My name is Natasha. I work for Reform Radio, and I had an absolute pleasure of curating several stages at Sounds from the Other City throughout a few years. I'm so grateful for this opportunity to be part of this amazing festival that really champions supporting upcoming artists, emerging talent, and really playing an important role in our grassroots music scene. I think festivals like Sounds is so important, and especially for us at Reform, because it really provided an opportunity to put forward up-and-coming artists that come through our talent development programs at Reform. And we're really grateful for that. So here is to many more years. Happy birthday, Sounds.
Thanks, Tash.
It must be really lovely, like, to hear stuff like that from promoters in the city, because I know a lot of people don't have a lot of nice things to say about. You know what I mean? So that kind of love must be lovely. I want to ask you guys 2 questions. The first being, why has grassroots music scene become what it is? And the second is, how can we as a community, how do we support the scene?
I might dive in on that one. I think there's so much to be said about the ecology behind the scene rather than just the people on the stage. And I think as somebody who graduated from university and was like, I don't know what I'm going to do in life. I want to do something in music because I've been running this club night and I've really enjoyed it. I then came as a volunteer coordinator to Sounds from the City in 2010. And I was like, I don't know what this role entails, but I'll Google it and I'll just get on board with it and it'll be fine. And it was fine. And I met Mark, and I met a few other people that I'd met a few years previous. And then one thing led to another. And then I was still here 15 years later as a director, standing there for 10. And I think having that very organic approach to grassroots and cultivating the ecology around the scene rather than just the musicians on the stage is what then becomes it gives you the blueprint to kind of stand on, and it gives you a strong foundation that you can then build on. And I think that is what Sounds has kind of given, is that foundation for people to like find a way into their career, whether that's somewhere back of house in a tech role, like, or whether that's as an artist who's meeting a promoter for the very first time, or whether that's as a promoter. We give that platform for people to like grow from. And I think that's really important and super rare. And I think more of that kind of model throughout the industry that isn't just Salford based and is across the UK, I think we'd see a much stronger kind of grassroots ecology, because it's not just about these moments, these flitting moments that then are capitalized on, like, let's use that word, because that's what happens in the industry. And then people let go and they're not allowed to kind of build those kind of careers organically. And I think that's really important.
It's super important, definitely. I think artists today just struggle anyway. So to have a festival, and a festival that's been doing it for so long as well, it is really important.
The human approach as well, isn't it?
It's about resource, isn't it? It's like, how do you bring more resource into communities that are looking out for themselves and each other. And I think what you're talking about is it always tends to filter out.
Mhm.
And I think what we've been trying to do is how do you build, we spend loads of time on like partnerships and who are we working with and like where do things cross over where there's mutual benefit, and that allows more things to happen, whether that's around place, whether it's around the creativity. And I think ultimately, you're right, it's like you need to see it in more places. And I think the more of that strength that you see, and it's also then what our audience is choosing to go to, because, it's hard to get that word out, to get message out there. It's even in that very first section, people are talking about the atmosphere. It's a really hard thing to tell people about. You've got to feel and experience
you can't
atmosphere.
convey that on a poster very easily.
You can't. But
Great atmos.
Yeah. But ultimately, I think that's what people are they really want that. I think it's often with bigger, more commercial events, that audience side of it feels so lacking. And I really hope that maybe we will come around to that again, that what we create ourselves is maybe way more powerful than what the big star quality is. Not that there shouldn't be stars, because that's always going to be there. But
and just to add about the grassroots, like I think one of the things that we've always done, and we would be nothing without it, is collaborate. Like we literally, we ask people to program our festival for us because we believe that's important to kind of create that snapshot of what the city is representing in the year round. And so it really is this coming together of all these different minds. And I think when you're faced with a grassroots music scene and against a kind of global corp kind of capitalist music industry, the only way that we're going to survive is by coming together to send something that's stronger than we can do on our own. And I think more of that collaboration and less competition is really important for the grassroots to survive.
It's so true. Less individualism and more community. And I think you've shown that, you've stood the test of time, 20 years. Congratulations to you. Thank you so much, Riv and Mark, for joining us today. Congratulations on an amazing 20 years.
Yeah.
May there be many more. And hopefully we'll see you again on Stories from the Other City. And we'd also love to hear from all you out there, all your stories and memories from Sounds from the Other City. And there is a way you can share them with us. We've created the Sounds from the Other City audio map, which is gathering together a host of audio recordings about the last 20 years of sounds to create a lasting archive about the festival. So get in touch. Tell us, did you find your first love at the Salford Arms? Were you a witness to a failed crowd surf at Maxwell Hall? What was that about? Were you there?
I was in it, deep in it.
You're going to have to get to the audio map to hear that full story. What does your traditional sounds breakfast actually involve? People eat them the day before. It's very interesting. We want to hear from you, and you can tell us by heading to soundsfromtheothercity.com and follow the links on the audio map to tell us all about it and see what everyone else has to say. We'll see you on Maybank Holiday Sunday. Bye.